Welcome to the AdTech Forum. Today's episode is all about purchase data as we kick off Series 3, Outcomes, sponsored by Attain. We're excited to get this episode started with our next guest, Alex Vinci.
Hi.
Alex is an industry vet with almost 18 years experience, holding commerce roles for the last 6. In her latest role, she's part of the COE team supporting global commerce media at Publicis, where she just hit her 1-year anniversary. Alex resides in Long Island City, is a proud Manhattan College alum, and loves having a front row seat to commerce around the world. Alex, welcome to the AdTech Forum.
Thank you so much for having me, both of you. I'm really excited.
Well, we're excited to get this going, Alex. We're going to kick this off with our first question. In your role of being a commerce expert and understanding how outcomes work, how do brands use online purchase data to gain actionable insights into consumer behavior and preferences?
Yes, great question. 2 things come to mind right off the bat. One is I think that purchase data is one of the best things to happen to the ad ecosystem because essentially it makes, from a brand perspective, it makes your buys more efficient and you're wasting less impressions. And from a consumer standpoint, you're seeing less ads for things that you've already bought, which I don't know what's more frustrating than scrolling through whatever platform you're on and seeing ad after ad of things that you've already purchased. So number one, I think it's extremely actionable. I think it's extremely important and useful. Secondly, I think to really make the actions, as impactful as you can, you have to broaden the aperture a little bit. So purchase data for sure is kind of the foundation. I think if you understand what I buy, when I buy it, where I buy it, and how I pay for it, inevitably you're able to send me more relevant communications for things I actually want to see and want to buy, right? But I think the real magic happens when you layer in other types of data like identity or geography or affinity. So then you're really understanding, as well as transaction history and what I buy, where I buy, all of that, you're really getting to the heart of, who I am, what I'm about, what my other online, behaviors are, so that you can do work like segmentation or create better personas that influences your targeting. I think from there, you can kind of dovetail into creative strategy and get more insights into, what imagery will work better, what calls to action would work better. You can do A/B testing. I think also, layering in these different types of data, especially purchase data, allows you to make better choices from a media format standpoint. So, it's all about that loop, right? We're all trying to create these great experiences. You create a great experience for me, I'm going to keep coming back, right? So I think, leveraging these different layers of data, especially with purchase data, just drives that, personalization, drives that loyalty loop, and makes it generally better ad experience.
I love that. So you had mentioned the loyalty loop. When you think about the loyalty loop, what strategies should brands use to effectively integrate online purchase data with their marketing efforts? Because when you think through all the various channels, there are a lot of marketing efforts that need to be done through those continuous loops.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, one of the more exciting, evolutions of the commerce industry, retail media industry, whatever you want to call it, is the ability to take commerce data and use it outside the walled gardens of the retail media networks, right? So that, I think, unlocks this ability to plan more full funnel, because I think all of us nowadays are modern marketers and we're planning full funnel. And I think purchase data is one way to really do that. Commerce, as we know, is not relegated to just the bottom of the funnel, right? And neither should purchase data be. If you know how to use it, I think traditionally media is planned on a cost by reach basis, right? So you want to reach the most amount of relevant people for the most efficient cost. And I think when you introduce purchase data and you add in this layer of, proximity, purchase data is what is allowing you to get closer to that person in the mindset of conversion. So if you take something like CTV, right, because we're talking about integrating this into various marketing channels, if you take something like CTV, which is, one of the hotter topics in the industry, you're able to now buy CTV through retailers, but you're also able to buy it through your providers, leveraging the retailer data. So those ads now that typically would maybe be thought of as a little more upper mid funnel become infinitely more relevant, to that household, because you can actually buy things from connected television now. So layering in purchase data, geography, proximity, all of that, I think just kind of generally levels up your ability to plan more full funnel.
And that plays a big role in trust, right? So these brands are obviously interested in ensuring that there's an ethical and responsible use of this purchase data while maintaining that trust for customers and the data that you have available from them. How do brands ensure that you are being ethical and responsible with that data?
Yeah, for sure. It is a very important question. And, unfortunately, when the digital ad ecosystem that we know of today was being built, I don't think privacy was as top of mind as it, should have been. I think that nowadays all of us should be adding privacy professionals to our resumes, because it really isn't just on the privacy teams or the legal teams. And it's true. It's really not just on those two, facets of an organization to be thinking about and account for the ethical and responsible use of data, right? I think for brands, it's how can you incorporate the I know you factor without being creepy or breaking any laws, because we know it only takes one data breach to lose someone. So the way that I think brands and agencies, and I'm including agencies in here because obviously that's where I work, that's where I sit, in this whole mix, I think we all have to actively participate in the data stewardship alongside those other functional areas. I don't think anyone should be acting in a silo, planning, investment, otherwise. I think the legal and the privacy teams have to be kept in the loop. They have to be invited to the party when it starts, be further upstream, and kind of kept along for that ride so that they're able to mitigate that risk along the way and ensure that we have successful campaigns that don't break consumer trust. I think also, as we, are kind of talking about this, I think just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. So there's probably a level of just common sense that we all need to have when we're thinking about, how we're leveraging certain data points to target people. Some things should never be captured, even if they are, but they absolutely should never be used to solicit, an ad. So don't want to forget about the common sense layer, but it definitely takes a ton of collaboration to ensure that we're all acting in a privacy safe, law abiding, way.
You brought up a couple great terms. You brought up trust, you brought up privacy. When you think through the growing importance of omni-channel retail, how do brands leverage these online purchase data inputs to create a seamless shopping experience, both across digital and within a physical retail store?
For sure. I think, one of the things that can potentially be overlooked is the fact that the customer experience and consumer journey have to work together, right? I think our expectations of the in-store experience have increased exponentially, just driven by the convenience of shopping at home. We want that same level of enjoyment when we shop in store. I was going to try and avoid all buzzwords, but I'm going to throw one out there. Phygital.
Give us one.
Just one. Phygital.
Just one.
The rise of this, meshing of the physical and digital experiences. Stores themselves are becoming more sentient. There's just more signals that we can, leverage as we use more digital tactics in store. We're doing things like scanning mobile QR codes. We are, unlocking AR experiences on pack. We're doing virtual try-ons. There's even apps nowadays that will recognize your device when it enters a store, and it can essentially serve you a push notification. Maybe that's for a discount on something you've already bought, or, another general offer. But, I think that if you are listening, right, for these types of signals and this type of feedback, there is this halo effect that's happening from in-store to online and vice versa. So if you are listening, right, and you are capturing this feedback and you're applying it, right, to your in-store and online experiences, you're maybe able to influence your assortment between in-store and online, how you pull from in-store or separately, and then ensuring that each communication for each shopping mode, in-store versus online, is optimized to, make that experience the most relevant it can be. I think one thing that isn't, talked about enough that can really work in your favor or really work against you if you don't get it right is frictionless payments. So if you're observing that your customer base is leveraging multiple modes of ways to purchase things, you have to make sure that each of those processes is seamless, because it's very easy to drive brand love after this, frictionless, seamless, positive experience, but it's also very easy to turn someone all the way off if the experience is super clunky. So I think that's one thing that we can't overlook in the omni-channel retailing experience.
Alex, you mentioned so many data points, so many ways for you to collect and analyze, and with all that data, analysis becomes a real challenge. So, what trends are you seeing in the commerce space as it relates to, measurement and being able to see the outcomes and the success of your campaigns and your clients?
For sure. And I think the purchase data topic goes hand in hand with measurement. It's a great question. It's very timely, as we're hearing a lot of this from our clients, from our teams internally. I think incrementality is kind of the next, big commerce media challenge. And, it's absolutely not new. It's not a new question. And it's also not only, pertaining to commerce media. Is this investment driving incremental returns on for my business? I think commerce has put a spotlight on it. And I think especially since global retail media spend will hit, they're projecting 140 billion this year, global number. It's extremely important that we hone in on incrementality. ROAS is not going away. It is definitely a metric that has its place. It allows us to act with speed, right? So you're able to understand very quickly if you are allocating your media budgets in a way that is driving sales. You can launch a campaign and in 2 or 3 days get a read out on ROAS. So for sure it is, an important metric. I think the drawback though is only focusing on short term. You are not looking at, and you're not able to understand, ascertain the longer term business impacts. And I think that's where incrementality plays a bigger role. So, there's a lot of information that you're getting back from retailers. There's a lot of, synonyms being thrown out there. I think a big misnomer is that attribution and incrementality are the same. I don't believe that they are. But I do feel like solving for incrementality, it is a big task. It's a big challenge, but it's not impossible, right? It's an experimental process, right? It's involving a lot of methodologies because there are a lot of gaps that exist right now. So there is no silver bullet. No one has it. There's tons of data points, data layers to stitch together. But I do think incrementality is the thing that is, galvanizing the industry right now around a solution for sure.
Alex, this has been super insightful. This actually brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for joining this episode of the AdTech Forum, sponsored by Attain. We've covered a wide range of topics today with Alex. Stay tuned for future episodes, and please follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you, Alex, again for being here on behalf of Jeremy and I.
No, thank you both. This was great.
Thanks, Alex.
Have a great one, guys.